Caribbean wreck heaven is the culmination of hours and hours underwater looking for the best dive sites possible. Some are only recent, others date back to the 18th century. In fact, the Caribbean boasts a huge range of wrecks, everything from sites of great tragedy and film drama to the modern day craze for artificial reefs. So if you are a lover of wrecks, there's certainly no shortage of fascinating dive sites here in the clear blue warm waters of the Caribbean. When the British first colonised the Caribbean, this is where it all happened, on the small volcanic island of St Kitts. And this is Brimstone Hill Fort, scene of many a famous battle back in the 17th and 18th centuries. Which brings me to the rare and extraordinary discovery of an old wooden wreck just off the coast here. Divers are convinced it's a British troop ship over 300 years old, and only now are scientists piecing together the clues to her final moments. Add to that the fact there are hundreds more shipwrecks undiscovered, and St Kitts is a veritable treasure trove under the sea. Just a matter of a few metres below the surface in White House Bay lie the remnants of one of the bloodiest maritime chapters in St Kitts history. For scientists, such well-preserved timbers proved a rare but exciting discovery.
When we looked at the remains of the ship, it had been eaten away by the worms, it had been battered by the storms and hurricanes, and looking at it from the first viewpoint, we knew we had a big ship.
Next, however, came the challenging job of turning the wreck site into a scene of archaeological investigation.
It's a three-dimensional puzzle without a picture, because you've got nothing to compare it with. You don't know what you've got, and so you don't know what's missing. And you know the general structure of what type of ship it could be after you've uncovered it. But then it's a question of putting together all the clues to try and put forward a good picture that then allows you to do all the hard work in the archives to try then to come up with the answer as to what the ship is, what nationality, where it came from.
Using a simple but effective grid system, the team spent 450 hours underwater, mapping every tiny detail of the ship. For the Anglo-Danish archaeological team ADMAT, the project was a true labour of love.
The team have to measure and record every chunk of wood on that vessel, whether it be a small tree nail, whether it be a massive timber. All of those have to be painstakingly measured three-dimensionally.
In all, the St Kitts project took nearly 2 years to gather all the evidence.
You have a team of divers who are literally holding the end of a tape measure from one fixed position and measuring every single corner, every single item that is underwater.
Luckily for the team, the ship's cannon are still near to the wreck site. So often cannon are among the first artefacts to be plundered.
They're heavily concreted, they have a nice amount of plant life, marine life on them. There are actually two different designs. We believe that they may be 6-pounders and possibly 4-pounders. We did get an interview from one of the local people who visited the site just after it had been uncovered, and he said that he saw 11, possibly 13 cannons actually on the wreck site. Well, we didn't find any cannons on the wreck site, but there are 5 cannons nearby. So it's a fair assumption that the cannons may have come from the vessel. They're certainly of the right time period, and they may have even been a slight bit earlier. We estimate the ship may have been constructed around about 1735 to 1740.
Slowly but surely, the White House Bay wreck site has been giving up her secrets, providing more fascinating clues to 18th century history.
Purely from what is left, there's very few wrecks in the Caribbean because of the climate, the weather, the hurricanes, the worms that eat their way through the woodwork. This vessel is, I would say, one of the top 3 or 4% in the Caribbean as far as what is actually left. There's very few artifacts, there's very few upper construction, but as far as the timbers of the lower hull construction, it is in excellent state of preservation.
Having literally dredged up the past underwater, the archaeologists face their next biggest challenge. They had to tie in the clues to the famous Battle of Frigate Bay between the British and the French.
Well, in 1782, the English had quite a significant and strategic fort, Brimstone Hill Fortress, on the island. The French decided to take control of the island, and so to do so, they had to capture the fort. They'd been sieging the fort now for some time, and the French Caribbean fleet of nearly 34 ships of the line, that's a bit like HMS Victory down in Southampton, if you imagine a large quantity of cannons and men all together. They were anchored in the main harbour, and the English, under the command of Admiral Samuel Hood, came along and almost enticed them out for a game of cricket. And it went with their battle fleet. The French gave chase, it went past Nevis. The battle lasted for 2 days, but the English managed to get the upper hand, and they managed to get back to White House Bay as early as possible, and they started anchoring their fleet. But they were slightly clever because they anchored not only in the shallows, but they had booms stretched between each ship, which created an impenetrable barrier. The French fleet, under the command of the Comte de Grasse, then had to sail past the English fleet, which created quite a large battle.
Cannon fire in the Battle of Frigate Bay lasted for 2 noisy days.
Apparently could hear it from about 10 or 15 miles away, the battle. The Ville de Paris, which was the French admiral's flagship, was the largest ship on Earth at that time period. And when it went down, the English fleet, it received 80 holes below the waterline just from one engagement. A number of ships didn't even make it past 2 engagements. There were probably somewhere in the region of 80,000 men on that battle.
In the end, it was a decisive victory for the British, which played an important part in St Kitts' history. For archaeologist Simon Spooner, the work of piecing together clues to the wreck's origins continued back in England. First, the precise layout of the timbers, and finally what the ship might have actually looked like, an 18th century English troop carrier of considerable historic significance. It's planned to leave the site as it was found, for divers to enjoy for years to come.
I think it's very much a question of look, take photographs, don't actually touch the vessel. Because of the hurricanes, a lot of things are uncovered and recovered. And because we can't analyse these wrecks all the time, divers coming along may find something new.
It's a prospect which the people of St Kitts have embraced with great enthusiasm.
Stage we're in right now is like a secondary stage where the government has put together a proposal for donors to donate huge sums of money, which we're keeping our fingers crossed for, to survey this harbour here, which we understand there are 200 ships just waiting to be discovered.
At other dive sites there are plenty of clues to other historic wrecks. But there are also more contemporary wreck sites in keeping with the Caribbean theme of artificial reefs. Few places in the world, though, combine present-day wrecks with sites of great historical importance still in situ.
The other thing is for people to go along and enjoy. There's a lot of modern wrecks around this world, but there's very few historic archaeological wrecks. And that, I think, for people to go along and they can let their imagination wander and think about the battle and thinking that they're actually, touching something that went back 200 or 300 years, I think is something quite exciting.